Hello and welcome. Let's start this evening at Peace for Those, lighting a little light for the peace in the world. So if you have a candle, please join me. And here's our candle for peace. And let's say a little prayer for the peace in the world and within ourselves. A spirit of life, awakening in us the hunger for peace. Let peace be our guiding star. Make peace the music of our heart. Let there be peace in our words, our thoughts, our actions, in all that we do and all that we are. Inspire us to create peace. Help us work for peace. Let us be the peace we seek in the world, in the north and in the east, in the south and in the west, within and without, all around. Let us bring forth your peace. Good evening. My name is Rev Karem Barratt. And before we start our topic for tonight, which is some ideas to break away from negativity, let me tell you a bit about myself. I am originally from Venezuela, but I've been living in the UK for the last 11 years or so. And my spiritual life has started pretty much like a Latin American Catholic, which in many ways is to say I was raised more like a cultural Catholic more than a devout Catholic as such. For many years, I was very happy with my religion. I was not very knowledgeable about it. I knew the basics that were taught in school, prayers, the basic story of Jesus. I watched a lot of religious movies, which they used to show in Holy Week or Easter. And I had a comfortable relationship with God the Father and a closer one with Jesus. But to be honest, I just went through the motions. I didn't really thought much about it or went very deeply within the religion. Then I said sometime around my 20s, I became more curious, spiritually curious, and I started discovering, other religions and spiritualities and ways to see the world and connect to the divine. But again, for many years, I would say I was more of a student than an actual practitioner. And here in the UK, around, 6, 7 years ago, I decided that I have been dabbing in these other spiritualities, but I really did not that much about my original Christianity or religion. So I decided to learn more about it. Now from a more of a Christian, Protestant point of view than Catholicism. And I'm about to sneeze. Sorry about this. It's a bit of a cold. And I became very much curious about it and started going to church and talking to the pastor and doing my Bible classes and my personal investigations and doing a lot of internal work. And I would say after 3 or 4 years, I'm sorry, I don't think I'm going to sleep now. Um, I had this really up moment when I felt so close to God and I felt so high that the only way was down, which eventually happened. And out of this sort of spiritual crisis, I became an atheist for a good year or so, and then a happy agnostic. But I realized that I am a spiritual person, and pretending not to be was just a cover up, because I didn't want it to look foolish, or I didn't want it to look not smart, or I didn't want to look naive or gullible. But maybe it was. Maybe I am. Who knows? But my reality is that I knew in my heart that spirit was real. And after all this traveling around in the different spiritual uh, churches and temples and groups, I honestly felt that, spirits everywhere and speaks to everybody in their own way. So I'm not very much into labels or tags nowadays. Um, I am an interfaith minister, which seemed to be perfect for me, because it acknowledge and honor the way spirits communicates or transcends to different cultures and different people in different moments and times. And it also tells you that this is an ongoing process. It didn't stop 2,000 years ago, 1,600 years ago. It's something that's very much going on today. So I'm continuing my studies. I'm training to be a druid. I'm a bard right now. And paganism and the earth-centered spirituality seem to resonate very well with the person I am right now. Will I be a pagan or druid for the next 20 years? I don't know. And I'm not really too worried about it. I'm going very much with the flow, a bit of how here now. But that's pretty much the spiritual story up to now. So I'm still in the journey. I'm still in the past. I'm still in the seeking. What I am not is in the fear of I'm doing something wrong, or I'm dishonoring the divine, or I'm going to be punished, or what if I'm in the wrong religion and then I'm going to go to hell. I don't have that fear at all. I don't have the need to defend anything. I am right, you are wrong. The way I see things is the right way. God spoke to me, so he couldn't speak to you, or she couldn't speak to you. I'm not into that either. I love a spiritual conversation. I love exchanging ideas. I love exchanging practices. I find that really enriching. But I'm not into defending anything. People believe what they will believe according to who they are in the moment. The other thing I'm not into right now very much is this idea of the beyond. I mean, I definitely believe in an afterlife. I'm curious about it. I read about it. But I have also made my peace with the physical world. I don't see this as a place of sin or a punishment or, created for a dark god. Quite contrary. I see it as a privilege, which I hope it gives me a nice transition to the theme today. Why do I say that I see the world as a privilege? I honestly believe that as souls or spirits, we are offered the opportunity to live here on earth. And it's like when you choose the best soldiers to be Marines. Soldiers have a tough training, but Marines, they get the extra tough training because they have what it takes. So I believe that when we incarnate here in this world, first, it was offered to us. It wasn't like we were thrown. Go there and good luck. It's like having a mission or an opportunity. Well, yes, you're going to have all these challenges, but together with the challenges, you're going to have all these good things, all this beauty, all these feelings, all these experiences, and the good and the bad, if we're going to put a tag to it, will help us grow and develop ourselves. Now, to be honest, when you look at the world around today, sometimes it's hard to believe. It's hard to believe that a pure spirit or an innocent soul would choose to come here on purpose. But it is also a matter of perspective. And that's the topic of today. We live in an interconnected world. We know things now so much faster than our parents knew or grandparents knew. Like I said, I'm from Venezuela, and if something happened in China when I was a little girl, like a landslide or an earthquake or a revolution, I probably would have not known anything about it, or I would have learned it 3 or 4 days later. But it wasn't this immediate information that you get nowadays. And you get it from China, and you get it from Africa, and you get it from the UK, and you get it from Latin America, and you get it from the United States. And in the old days, if there was a crime, it was pretty much what happened in the village. You knew what happened in the village and maybe what happened in the country, but it wasn't like you knew every crime committed in the country. You knew what happened in the village, and you would hear rumors of what happened in other cities or what happened in the capital. Nowadays, we know about crimes that happen in our villages, but also crimes that happen in the other side of the world. And we know about hate crimes that happen here and there, and it's like a constant bombarding of bad news. And it's only logical that we're going to be negative about it, because all the images we are receiving are the negative ones. But the reality is that one of the reasons we get so much bad news is because bad news sells. I mean, if you see a news hour, maybe if you're very lucky, you get 5 minutes of those 40 minutes about arts or scientific discovery. If you're extremely lucky, you'll get 1 minute about something nice and simple that someone did. And for those 5 minutes, you get 35 minutes of horror, of hate, of fights, of economical problems. And even when you get good news, somehow they get someone to turn it into bad news. So if you get something good like, oh, inflation is going down, they will bring the expert that will find a way to tell you that, yeah, that's okay, but eventually it will be bad for us. Which may be true or not, but do we really need to know it right now? You and me. Maybe this is something for economists to worry about. This is for bankers to worry about. This is for the government to worry about and take whatever precautions are necessary. But for you and me, and most regular people who go in their everyday life, to think about the possibility that a deflation, I think is what they call it, may somehow bring some kind of problem, does nothing except ruining what is supposed to be good news. Okay? So the thing for today is, what can we do individually and hopefully as a group to give ourselves a break from all the negativity that is around it? I mean, we really need it, because it's very hard for us to be creative. It's very hard for us to be efficient. It's very hard for us to be healthy. And especially it's very hard for us to be happy if our thoughts are always aiming at negativity. And it's not a question of wearing the pink lenses all the time, but we have to wear them some of the time, because that's what's going to give us the motivation and the inspiration to move on, to learn from the mistakes, to find other alternatives. I love that saying. I'm not sure if it's true, but it's certainly going around in the internet, about Thomas Edison, the inventor of the light bulb. And it wasn't electricity, but certainly the light bulb, who said, I have not failed. I just found 10,000 ways that doesn't work. That don't work. That's the attitude. So here's some ideas that hopefully will help us get into that positive mind frame, to help us live this human experience as rich and as best as possible. So I did write them down this time. So I'm going to just talk, and keep some order in this little conversation we're having. So my first one is, sounds simple, but it's not really easy to do, is try to be less judgmental. Okay? But if we are less judgmental, we're going to save ourselves a lot of grief and a lot of trouble. And we're going to be able to keep ourselves into a positive mood. One of the things with prejudging is that we may be wrong. Let me try to give you an example. You were walking on the street and you saw your friend X. And you say, "Hi, X," and X didn't look at you. X didn't say hi. X just passed by. Okay? So you have two options. You can say, I wonder what happened to X. Maybe he didn't listen to me. I'll give him a call later on to make sure that everything's alright. And you continue your way to work. Or you can create a judgment of what happened. Oh, X didn't say hello to me. I wonder why he didn't do that. He must be angry at me. Well, he should be angry at me. I haven't done anything to him. Well, of course, we know what X is like. That sometimes you say something and X take it personally. What must I have said? Oh, he must have seen that I said about football. Or he must have felt insulted. Well, it's his own fault. I wasn't insulting him. And you start creating like this drama in your head from this judgment that you made, without ever knowing if this is true. If your friend ignored you. Okay? So every time that you are too judgmental, usually you're too judgmental towards the negative, not towards the positive. Very few people go like, "Oh, I'm sure X didn't listen to me because he was thinking about his beloved wife." There are very, very few people come to that judgment if they're going to be judgmental. They find something negative, either about the person or about themselves or about a situation, and that takes away some of the light of the day. I mean, you were perfectly happy walking to work on a nice sunny day when this happened, and the moment you became judgmental, it was like creating a little cloud and putting it over your head. Even if you lasted 5-10 minutes, those are 5-10 minutes of light that you wasted and you lost. So it's not easy not to be judgmental. It's very human to be judgmental, but it is an art to be cultivated, and that certainly are going to make us more open and more happy and more connected to positivity. So that's the first tip. The second tip, again, is easier to say than done, is accept that stuff happens. Things happen. Trains get broken. People sometimes get fired. Boyfriends come late. Children sometimes don't say thank you after you made this great effort to create a delicious dinner for them with all their favorite food. Sometimes you sit down in a chair and it hurts your back, just like that. And it's nothing personal. It has nothing to do with you, really. It's not, oh, I'm so unlucky, or somebody up there hates me, or somebody down there hates me, or whomever hates me or don't like me. Things happen because that's the nature of this world, Things are always in the news, and not everybody can always have the winning card. As simple as that. So maybe one person found £10 on the street, and that's great. You didn't. You lost £10. It happens. Next time, be more careful where you put your money. Make sure that your wallet is properly back in your purse or in your pocket. But don't take it personally. Don't take it like, oh, this always happens to me. I'm lucky. I'm unfortunate. I'm fortuneful. It is good for drama. It is good if you're Shakespeare and you're writing something. But it's not really that good for everyday life. Okay? Because you keep giving yourself this message that you're not good enough, or there's something about you that brings negativity, or you're being persecuted, or you're being hated, depending how bad is the drama that you create in your mind. So yeah, if you're on the beach, there's a chance that a wave will wash you over from it. And if you're dancing and jumping half drunk, there's a chance you may fall and hurt your knee. Life is full of chances, and they're each way. They can go one way or the other way, but don't take everything as a personal punishment towards you. And if you need that, or you need to feel that this is personal, then ask yourself why. What's the lesson here? What is God telling me that I should change so this negative stuff don't happen as often or don't affect me as much? Okay, so that would be tip number 2. Tip number 3, and this is really important, is what I call the best friend talk. Now, maybe you're not like this, but I know many people who are like this. When their best friend, or not even the best friend, just a friend, is in pain, or they're suffering, or they're feeling down, they come and they comfort them and say, "Don't worry, things are going to get better." And yes, maybe you're not so good at this, but you're so good at that. And I have faith in you. This is just a bad moment in time, and things will look up, and you just need to rest and breathe in, breathe out, take a vacation, you know. And they really do their best from the heart to make that friend feel that whatever happened wasn't so bad. And if it was bad, there's still solutions to be found, and it's not necessarily their fault. But when it comes to themselves, they treat themselves like rubbish. You know, oh, of course this happened to me because I'm a good for nothing. Oh, this happened to me because I don't have discipline, because I'm sad, because I'm short, because I have this ethnicity, oh, because I come from this social class, or because I was watching football instead. And they treat themselves in a really harsh, sometimes cruel way. I get the feeling that there's a voice in their mind saying, treat me like rubbish and that will make me stronger. Eh, my question is, if that is true, why didn't you treat your best friend that way? Probably because in that moment your best friend was really down, and what it needed was a hug. And what is true for your friend is true for yourself. So one way to stay in a positive frame of mind is when stuff do happen. Treat yourself gently. Treat yourself with love. All those wonderful things you would tell to a friend to make them see the positive aspect of life, tell it to yourself. If it feels kind of silly of, let me talk to myself, write it down. Write a letter to yourself saying, "Dear Karen, yeah, today was a hard day. We made these mistakes and we had these reactions, and it seems like everything was against us. But don't worry, dear Karen, because you're good at this and you're good at that, and tomorrow is another day, and we can try to do things differently, and we can speak to this person to ask for another chance, or explain our side of things." So if you treat yourself like that, you will start seeing the silver lining sooner than later. So treat yourself as you would treat others whom you love. Okay? So that is I think it's number 3 tip for keeping positive in this life. Now, number 4. Again, it's something we tend to do. Number 4 is focus on your strength rather than your weakness. This is not to say that there is something that you can strengthen about yourself. You don't do it. You learn, you train. But let's be honest, we are better at some things than at others. Okay? But what we tend to do is we talk about what we're not good at. You know, let's say you're a wonderful cook, but you're terrible at computers. I don't know why examples are coming this way. What do we talk about? Oh, I'm so bad. I'm so bad at computers. I'm really, really bad at computers. You know, computers and I. Well, okay, yeah. So what? You're so good at cooking. You can cook delicious meals. You can make vegetables taste like ice cream. You know, you can nurture your family with 5 pounds worth of food and create a king's feast with that. So if you're really not good at computers, you have two options. You can train and take courses, but still keep your focus on what you're good at. And if definitely you don't have the knack for computers, well, if so for whatever reason you need them, hire someone, ask for help. You know, exchange skills. Fix my computer and I will cook you dinner. But don't focus in what you are not. Focus in what you are. Don't focus on what you can't do right now. Focus on what you can. If you have a plan, if you have a project, okay, before sitting down and say, oh, I can't do this project because I don't have this, I don't have this, and I don't have this. Sit down and focus on what you have. You know, for this project, I have this, I have this, I have this, I have this. I can find this. I can train to do this, and I can hire someone to do this. Okay? So yes, there's some things you still don't have, but you're looking first at what's going to make you stronger, what's going to give you the motivation to really go into this project. Because if you first put your attention on what you don't have, it's really, really hard to get motivated, to get inspired, to do all the hard job that most goals require, because that's part of the fun of being in this world. Hardly anything is easy. So you need that positivity to start the race, and you need the positivity to have the stamina to finish the race. So eyes on what you have, use what you have, and what you don't have, if you can get it, acquire, get it. If you need to outsource it, outsource it. But don't measure yourself for what you don't have. I think it was Einstein who said, no, everybody's a winner at something. But if you're going to measure a bear and a worm and a fish for how high they fly, well, they're only going to feel like losers all the time. So that would be another tip to stay positive. Now, my next one. This was an easy one. My next one is just breathing and be. Okay? Sometimes when things go crazy around us, we have people talking to us, calling us, we need to finish something fast. It's like there's a chaos around us, and we feel sucked by it. The best solution is just to stop, really stop, physically stop, and just breathe in and breathe out. And you tell yourself, this will pass, one way or the other, but this will pass. Right now, I am here. I am me, and I am breathing, and I am breathing because I'm alive. And as long as you're alive, there are many possibilities and many chances to do stuff. So right now, I'm just going to reconnect with that life within me, with that energy within me, with that miracle that I am. Even scientists, they don't like to use the word miracles, but you know, they would say that many coincidences came together for you to be in this world. So just stop, breathing, and connect to yourself. Okay? Now, my next one, this has a fun title. I call it Alex's 6 Impossible Things. Now, I'm going to be honest, I have never read the Alice in Wonderland book. I did try, and I didn't like it, so I didn't continue. But I watched the last version from Tim Burton, and I absolutely loved that part when she's fighting with the monster. And at first she said, I can't do this. You know, I'm just a girl, and this is a huge dragon who wants to kill me. But what she starts doing is she starts reciting to herself, as in a mantra, all the things that only a day ago she thought were impossible, and that by now have become possible. So I can't recall the exact words, but like, I've done this, and I've done this, and I've done this, and I've done this, and I've done this. So she says 5 things that she has actually already achieved, even if at the time, whatever the time was, 1 hour ago or 10 years ago, is indifferent. At the time, she was not so sure that she could achieve the things. So sometimes when we feel very negative about ourselves, about our skills, about our talents or chances, it's good to stop and look back at all the things that we have been able to do so far. It doesn't matter how big or how small they are. All of them are victories. So when you apply this Alice and the 6 impossible things, you speak in the past and you say, I managed to go to university, I managed to get a job, I managed to buy my own home, I managed to get married to the person I wanted to, I managed to overcome this sickness. And then the last thing, the thing that you want to do now, you add it to it. And you say, and I managed to do this, the goal that you have right now. I just say it in the past, like a given, like a token of trust that, yeah, if you could do this 5 things, you can do this. Number 6 one. Okay? So you tell that yourself as a mantra, like a reminder of all the things that you can do. And if you could do this, you can do this one. And you can say, but this one is more difficult. Yeah, but 5 years ago, the one that you achieved looked difficult too. And somehow you managed. And you can say, well, but I was younger. Well, now you're wiser. I was richer. Well, now you know what it's like to be poor and know how to be rich and know how to manage money better. Don't go down the excuses. Just focus on what you have been able to do. And for your own history, throw that motivation and that inspiration and that strength to do it again. Okay? My next one, this is funny. If we take into consideration that we are talking in the computer, but is to have a technology fast, and especially a news fast. Like when you fast and you don't eat food for a whole day, give yourself the gift of not knowing what's going on in the world, of not knowing what's going on with your friends or family. Just leave the moment without all this stream of information. Okay? So let's say on Saturdays, you tell yourself, well, Saturdays, if I'm going to turn on TV, it's just to watch comics. Okay? I'm not going to watch the news. I'm not going to read the papers. I'm not going to see my profile in Facebook. I'm just going to live the moment as it is now. And in this moment, I'm going to make it as pleasant as possible. So I'm going to watch my comedies, and I'm going to cook a nice meal, and then I'll go to the park, and maybe call some friends to play a game, something like that. But do give yourself a break from all this stream of news that you have no control. You cannot really control them, but they affect you. So, especially if you're a bit addicted to watch news channels, let's say like Sky News or CNN or BBC, because it's not only that you get the news, it's that you hear them repeatedly and repeatedly and repeatedly. It's almost like a hammering in the head. This thing happened, and it was bad, and it was bad, and it was bad. And you hear it at 9 o'clock, and you hear it at 11 o'clock, and you hear it at 7 o'clock, and you come home and it's still as bad in the evening as if it was in the morning. So if you give yourself the gift of ignorance, you will find it easier to connect to the positive things about life. Really. Because you're not bombarded with the negative. Simple, but effective. This one is not that simple in some cases, but again, it's very effective. And this has to do with walking away from negative people. Maybe if the negative person is your mother, well, it's a bit more complicated, but you know, if you're working in an office and you see this group of people gossiping, talking about the boss or another employee or another colleague, just walk away. You don't want to hear about that. Why would you want to hear about that? You know, if you have a friend who always comes and tells you horrible things, I'm not saying don't talk to her, just change the conversation, switch the conversation. And if it's impossible, cut short the conversation. You know, there are some people who just cannot let the negativity go. And they bring it with you and they spread it around like some kind of virus. Some you cannot, there's not so much you can do except love them. Sometimes love them at a safe distance. But some you can really say no to. You know, people that you are not too close, people you're not working with, just cut short the conversation and say, well, yeah, I really haven't time for this, or I would love to hear, but I really can't, and just go on, okay? Because people can be toxic sometimes and ruin people's life and ruin people's day. You're perfectly happy and you meet a person who brings you all the woes and sorrows of the world, and that's it. There goes your happy sunny day. So I don't know what number is this one, but that would be one. I'm not saying that's easy, but I'm saying it's possible. Okay, you just have to develop strategies of how do I change the conversation, or how do I walk away fast. Okay. Another way to connect to positivity is really be in the moment, really be in what you are doing. Some would call it mindfulness. Because again, with negativity is the child of thinking many times. You know, you're doing, let's say you're in the gym and your minds are wondering about a project, and what if this doesn't work? What if the client doesn't like it? What if they don't approve it? And there you go. The activity has turned sour because your mind is creating a drama that is not even there, that we don't even know if it's going to happen. But if you place your attention, your full attention on what you're doing, whatever this is, you're going to give your mind a rest. So if you really, really place your attention let's go back to the gym exercise example. So you place your attention in your body, and how does it feel when you move, and how fast are you going, or how slow, or what movement can you do to improve the exercise, or how's your heart rate, and how are you feeling? Are you sweating enough? And the music around and the people around you, really, really be in what you're doing for whatever minutes you're doing that, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, half an hour. You're giving your brain a little holiday. Something to think about it that has nothing to do with the craziness of the world. And this is also true for when you're walking, when you are working, when you're doing something creative, something with your hands, anything that you really, really get into. You know when you're doing something and then you lift your head and you realize that 2 hours have passed. And you're like, oh, 2 hours has passed. Oh yeah, now I'm beginning to feel my shoulders are sore, and oh, I'm hungry. But and you start feeling all the consequences of being working on this. But while you were working, you were not feeling anything. You were really into the process. Well, if you try to apply that to almost everything you do, really be in the process of being what you're doing, you will find you have no time to be negative. You have no interest. Your brain will have no interest on negativity because it's busy with something much more pleasant, which is creativity. Okay? Now, this one is the good one. The best way to give yourself a break from negativity is to create a life worth living. We always go around with my perfect life, my perfect life, my perfect life. Well, your perfect life is what you make out of your life. So if you would like a life with more friends, put yourself in a situation where you will meet more people. If you like a life where you travel more, well, maybe you cannot travel to Asia, but you can travel to the next country. I mean, England is beautiful. Maybe because you're from here, or some of you are from here, you don't really realize how beautiful this country is. I mean, the countryside is majestic, even when it's cloudy. It looks nice. You're full of historical places. If you're into sports, well, there are many things that you could do in the sports arena, or in the sports area. So do what you want and live the life that you think you deserve, without the buts and I can't and what if not, what if yes, maybe you wanted to be an artist. Well, get yourself into art class. Oh, what if I'm not good enough? What if you are? Or what if I don't have money? Well, go to the library and get a painting book, a drawing book. Or what if you make some money? What if, every time that they have this sort of what if I can't, switch it to what if I do? What if I can? What if it goes well? What if it works? What if I'm good at it? What if I like it? What if I find the person? What if people like me? Find the positive if and build that life you want to live. If you want beauty in the world, start creating it. Start creating it, flowers on the balcony, a beautiful, clean, welcoming, warm home. Yourself. What do you want to look at? And don't go by, oh, society says that I should look like this and I should look like that. Who cares what society says? How do you feel happy when you look at yourself in the mirror, when you wear what colors, when you wear what kind of styles, when your hair looks like this or your hair looks like that? Build a life that when you turn around at the age of 95, say, whoa. I'm sure some bad things happened, but I can't remember, because the good ones were so good that I'm really, really happy that I was here, even if I have to deal with some negative stuff. Okay? So that is live the life worth living. I'm going to put this together. It was keep a positive outlook and spread it around. Well, it seems kind of silly, but yeah, you need to keep a positive outlook. And it takes the same amount of energy and the same amount of excuses and the same amount of reasons to be positive or to be negative. What I think it happens is, again, the world we live in somehow makes negativity look more cool. So, the person who goes around like, oh, I don't care about the world. Like those girls who are models and they're so tall and pretty and they're walking with these beautiful clothes and they look like, it's supposed to be cool. Well, yeah, I don't know about that. But forget about what is supposed to be cool. Okay? And spread positivity around. Have a positive outlook. And not only have it, but give it to others. I was trained as a teacher, and one of the maxims we have is that the best way to learn something is to teach it. Okay, so if you feel you need positivity in your life, one of the ways that you can bring it is by trying to give it to others. And often is kind of easy, So it could be like sending a positive message to a friend. It can be like watching an inspirational movie with a friend. It can be like reading an inspirational book. It can be like being there for someone who needs an advice and a positive outlook. It can be by creating the ambience or the environment that makes you feel alive. Okay, but even if deep down that day you don't feel that positive, if somehow you force yourself to be for others as a service to the world, it will come back to you like a boomerang. Okay, what goes around comes around. So the more positivity that you send to the world, the more positivity that will come to you. This is my spiritual part. One of the keys of positivity, or anything for that matter, is to surrender and trust. And I'm going to say the divine because that's the term I usually use. You use the term that is easier for you or you're familiar with. But if you place your worries and your fears and your doubts in the divine, and you accept that the divine loves you and the divine is for you, and whatever happens, the divine somehow was involved there. It didn't happen randomly because oops, stuff happens. You will see the world differently, and things will stop happening to you and they will start happening for you. And when you trust and surrender to the divine, you understand that everything that has happened in your life have created a pattern to bring you where you are. And if you're not happy where you are right now, it means that the journey is not over. I mean, the journey is never over until you actually cross to the other side. But if you know in your heart that you're being held by the divine and the divine's love, you can start looking at all those negative things that happen in your life with a different perspective. So again, maybe they're not punishments, but they are lessons. Lessons created to help you be stronger, to help you be, I don't want to say be better, I think you're already better, to help you discover the best of yourself within yourself. And I'm not saying these lessons are easy, because many hard things happen to people. Okay? And the moment that they're happening, it's not really that easy to say, thank you, divine. I love what this happened. I'm sure there's a lesson there. Okay? But by 5 minutes and then say it. Or 10 minutes. Or even if you don't fully believe it, say it. Because it will help you connect to that truth. Okay? You were sent here to express yourself and grow. And going back to the gym example, anybody who has worked with weights, bodybuilders, know that you have to rip a bit the muscle so it can grow and become stronger. So all those negative things that happens to us are in a way those strips of the muscle that help you grow and become stronger. Now, when you see a bodybuilder, God, they're sweating and they're making these sounds like they were about to die. And they're really having a hard time, apparently. And then they go to the gym the next day and they do it again. Because they see purpose in that suffering. And they see purpose in that whole process of working your body to the moment of pain and tears. They see purpose in that. And it's a purpose they perceive. It is for their favor. It's for their benefit. When you trust and surrender to the divine, that's what you will find. The purpose and the benefit in all that has happened in your life. I'm not sure I have much more time, but for a personal experience, I can attest to that. And maybe someday I'll go with my story of domestic abuse. And believe me, when I was in a domestic abuse situation, I didn't think that was really nice, and I didn't say thank you, divine. But 25 years later, somebody told me, okay, can we go back in time and erase that experience? I would say no. No way, Jose. Because that experience brought me to where I am now. And I really like where I am now. And I'm really curious to where I'm going to be later on. So trust and surrender. And I see that I have been talking a lot, but I almost made it to all my tips. The last tip is easier and is fast. Read, watch movies, listen to music. They are positive and inspiring. They can be fiction or they can be stories or biographies of real people. But they really help you see, the goodness in the world. If you like YouTube, yes, there are horrible things in YouTube, but you also see a lot of people doing things that you wouldn't think of. People helping each other, people stopping to help ducklings and dogs and deers and deers and cats. You can find a lot of inspirational stories and images nowadays in the media and uh, in stories and in the cinema and in songs. I love gospel songs, for example, and I love children's stories and children movies. I love children movies, and I think they're very inspirational. So try to surround yourself with things or information or images that tell you, you know what, I think I can do it, or I like to do that, or if they could do it, maybe I can do it too. Find that kind of inspiration. So I think I have to go now, and I'm going to finish with a prayer that is somewhere here. Uh, Where's my prayer? I have it here. Doesn't have a particular name, but I hope to find it useful. A spirit of light and life, remind me that this life is a privilege. Help me see the beauty in all there is. Help me see the spark of love in all I need. Help me walk in hope and joy, and remind me to rest in you, to nourish my spirit in the infinite cup of your love, now and always. So this is Karem Barratt, and I hope you found all these, or at least one of these, helpful. And I wish that you have a wonderful week and full of positive ideas and finding light and love everywhere you go. Bye bye.